She didn't want to call it because she was fear of retaliation.
Living in fear of those whose job it is to serve and protect. Tonight we're learning more about the police officer accused of sexually assaulting 7 women. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Morgan Chesky. Tonight Daniel Holtzclaw is in Oklahoma County Jail, and investigators say from February to June the officer preyed on women he pulled over. KOCO's Dave Detling live tonight on the Northeast side with the story of one of those encounters. Dave.
Hey, good evening, Morgan. Well, behind me, the gas station where police interviewed one of the women involved in this assault investigation. Tonight, we are hearing from that victim's friend who dialed 911.
I told them that I had a victim up here of rape.
Christopher Shelton remembers the night he called 911 after seeing his female friend walking near Northeast 23rd Street in Kelly. He says she was in need of help and upset.
When she got in the car, she just busted out crying.
He says it was about an incident with an officer, later identified as Daniel Holtzclaw.
He said, oh, no, they're not going to do anything. I said, you must try.
Shelton's friend is one of 7 victims who've come forward in the case against this Oklahoma City police officer. Officer Holtzclaw was arrested Thursday, accused of sexually assaulting women while on duty patrolling the Spring Lake area of the metro. One of the women involved accuses Holtzclaw of taking her here to a Northeast Side school in his patrol car and then raping her. Shelton says the allegations are a wake-up call for the Northeast Side. He says he'll be watching the investigation closely while praying for the victims.
They're human. So even though they're an authoritative figure, you're going to have to expect that there are some bad ones. You know, not all of us are perfect.
And tonight, Holtzclaw remains locked up in the county jail on a $5 million bond. And the chief of police for Oklahoma City PD saying they are working very hard to restore the public's trust. We're on the Northeast side. Dave Detling, KOCO 5 News.
Dave, thanks. And authorities tell us Holtzclaw had other complaints in the past. Clifton Armstrong died in May last year after a struggle with police. Holtzclaw and 3 other officers were cleared by the department of any wrongdoing there. And there was also an internal complaint for a pursuit violation and a complaint for false arrest. Neither brought any punishment against Holtzclaw.
Today, OKC Artists for Justice are out here protesting the bail hearing for Daniel Holtzclaw. We believe with 26 counts of sexual assault, which are violent assaults, that he should be remanded. He should not be free on bail. He has also violated his condition for bail. And for most people, particularly of color, and also in poverty areas, we violate our house monitors, we are remanded immediately. We demand that he be put in jail until his trial. He is a danger to our community. He is a danger to the full community of Oklahoma City, for he is a sexual predator per the counts against him. We want justice for the ladies on the east side of Oklahoma City. We want them not to be maligned or demeaned in any way because they are victims, and we want him held accountable.
Imagine getting to hug your loved ones again and to think.
Yeah, we can tell you that this trial started about 2 hours late today, and now we understand that it was because they were trying to deal with this alleged victim who showed up high to testify. We know that she tested positive for PCP and other drugs. She did eventually take the stand, but she seemed confused at times and even became verbally combative with the defense. Now, we talked to an attorney outside of this who tells us the testimony of these alleged victims is very important to this case.
What really gives it a lot of strength is you have woman after woman after woman after woman accusing him of inappropriate sexual acts, and I think that's what gives their case the strength.
Attorney David Slane says cases against police officers are a double-edged sword. The jury in this case is listening intently and taking notes, ready to decide if a policeman is capable of breaking the public's trust.
When you have victim after victim after victim coming up and making these allegations, it gives a lot of weight to the prosecution.
Defense attorney Scott Adams is grilling witnesses to see if they're telling the truth and bringing to light their questionable reputations.
The defense is doing a rather good job of doing that, but I think at the end of the day, one of the witnesses made the comment there in court that what he did to me doesn't have anything to do with the fact that I got into trouble.
And so far, we have heard from 3 of the alleged victims, but there are still 10 more that we haven't heard from. The jury will be back here on Monday. They will be working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then have the rest of the week off. We're live outside the Oklahoma County Courthouse. Patty Santos, KOCO 5 News.
A former Eastern Michigan University football star is now facing life in prison. An Oklahoma jury found him guilty of raping women while working as a police officer. Local 4's Nick Monticelli reports.
Karen, we see a lot of feeds come down here in the Satellite Center. This one was interesting, though. The defendant was shaking, so nervous before he heard the verdict. Nervous does not begin to describe former Oklahoma City police officer Daniel Holtzclaw. As the judge started reading the jury's verdict, he increasingly lost his composure as the list of charges continued.
Count 8, defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy, and punishment is set at 20 years.
The jury deliberated for more than 40 hours before finding Holtzclaw guilty of rape and sexual battery in all 18 of the 36 charges he faced. Outside the courtroom, demonstrators had little sympathy for Holtzclaw, who was convicted on his 29th birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Yes.
While some of them find justice in the guilty verdict, others worry about what the actual punishment will be.
Sure that they're going to try to run it together so he won't see nothing but 30 years. And that's not fair to us. It's not fair to my daughter. It's not fair to any of the victims or the people of our community.
Holtzclaw was fired from the police department last year. One woman came forward to accuse him of sexual impropriety during a traffic stop. The charges snowballed from there, and he was eventually accused of assaulting or raping 13 women while on the job. And you may recognize the name. Holtzclaw played football for Eastern Michigan University for 4 years and holds the school's record for most starts. So the jury is recommending 263 years in prison, being found guilty of those 18 charges. His actual sentencing will be later in January. In the Satellite Center, Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
He made me perform all sodomy sex on him. I didn't know what to do. I was so afraid. I was afraid for my life. I kept begging him, sir, please don't make me do this. Don't make me do this, sir. Please, you're going to shoot me. He said, I'm not going to shoot you. I said, yeah, you're going to shoot me. Only thing I could see was my life flash before my eyes and the gun in his holster on his right side. And as I tried to look up at his name, I was afraid to, because I said, if I know his name, I know he's going to kill me. So that I didn't do. And I was out there, like I say, so helpless. God's will, he let me live. And he let me live to tell this story like a lot of victims are not able to do. And I thank God above for letting me do that. All I can say is I was a victim. I was traumatized. I went to therapy. I had a stroke behind this. And I still live with this day after day.
On the night that I was stopped, I didn't expect for none of that to happen. And when he approached the car, I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen next. And once he did the arrest, I was took into a hospital on the whole opposite side of town, which I didn't think nothing of it at the time. And once I got there, they took off my clothes and handcuffed me to the bed and took me to a room, and no nurses, nobody came to check on me. And surely he just started to manipulate me.
A former police officer who is a convicted rapist will not have his case retried.
An appeals court has upheld the sentence for former Oklahoma City officer Daniel Holtzclaw. He's in prison for the rest of his life for sexually assaulting and raping women while on duty. News 4's Chase Horn joins us now live with some new reaction here to today's ruling. Chase.
Yeah, Kevin and Jolene, lawyers for the victims say this is a very positive outcome, but the Holtzclaw family says their fight to free a man they believe is wrongfully accused is far from over.
These women didn't ask for this. These women haven't gotten anything because it's happened. You know, they say, oh, they're making money. They haven't received anything but trauma.
An appeal request by Daniel Holtzclaw denied. In 2015, the former officer was found guilty and later sentenced to 263 years in prison for raping women while on duty.
We know he's innocent. That's the big thing. He is 100% adamant about it. Our family is. It's tough.
Judge David Lewis of the Court of Criminal Appeals writing in his opinion, this case involves a sexual predator who happened to be employed, most unfortunately, as an Oklahoma City police officer. Those words hard to read for Holtzclaw's family.
He got caught up in what the initial investigators said after a 1-hour interview, labeling him as a predator or a sexual deviant. How can a police detective even make that kind of assessment?
But Judge Lewis's opinion goes on to dismiss those claims, at one point saying Holtzclaw's job gave him the power to demand sexual acts of victims facing the unfavorable alternative choices of jail or detox. A lawyer representing Holtzclaw's victims says no one is a winner in this case, but he hopes the decision can bring his clients some relief.
They are suffering through what happened to them each and every day, trying to get back to a level of personal security, personal integrity, and try to heal as best they can.
Now, the Holtzclaw family says their next step is to take this case to the federal level, while the victims say they're just glad they don't have to testify again at a new trial and relive this experience. Live in Oklahoma City, Chase Horn, Oklahoma's News 4.
All right, everybody, welcome. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. We got over 40 people. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. Series 1 has begun, and I am more than happy and honored to bring up my guests. Hello, Kate. How are you?
I'm good.
Kate is a strong advocate for Daniel Holtzclaw. Is a Oklahoma. Which is it, Oklahomian or Oklahoma? How do you say it? How does someone from the Northeast say Oklahomian, or how do you say it?
From the Northeast, I don't know, but from the middle of the map, you would be an Okie.
Okie. She's an Okie. She's a fellow Okie in Oklahoma. Has followed this case extremely thoroughly, and many people in my chat who who don't follow me, who are following me for the first time, know I've been really open. I've been really public about my opinion. And I continually have people prove it. And Kate, that's not something you can prove in 10 minutes, is it?
No, I mean, and the case was designed that way. The lead detective, Kim Davis, said in Michelle Malkin's interview that, when you have one victim, it's really hard to get things done. But when you have 13 and the MO's the same and the verbiage is the same, then you can really get things done. But the problem is the MOs aren't the same. And where the verbiage is the same, you see that either links back to the detectives feeding information. Well, mostly that's where it comes from. When you dig into the case, that's what you see.
I've been following this for a while. Opinions definitely changed from beginning to end. Then I started doing research. Once I got on Discord, I started looking to see if, hey, I follow Michelle Malkin. I follow his sister. And it inspires me to see that passion and tenacity, never giving up, and knowing that quicksand is there, but you're everything possible to scratch and claw for advocacy. And for those who are listening, everyone's in here an advocate for something, whether it's a constitutional advocate, First Amendment advocate, whatever it could be. An advocate for those. Okay, let me get this off real quick. One second. Advocate is public support for or recommendation of a particular cause or policy. That is the definition of an advocate. Kate, is it safe to say that initially, when this case first broke, you were not an advocate for Mr. Holtzclaw?
No, I wasn't. I don't watch a lot of news, but given that, I still couldn't avoid the coverage on this case. And I mean, I thought he was the monster that they said he was. I just, I didn't look into the case. I just thought, I'm so glad that they got him off the street. I've spent most of my adult life advocating for victims of sexual assault. I've worked closely with the YWCA, either like on the board for 8 years. And, the last thing I want to see is a woman assaulted. It's the most horrible thing. I used to say it's the most horrible thing, and it is horrible, but another horrible thing is all these false allegations and to ruin not just a person's life, but this case has destroyed a community. His parents, his family, his friends, and he's locked in a cage and he is innocent. So no, I initially looked at the his interview over Christmas break in 2016, because I wanted to watch him lying. I mean, I already had my mind made up that he was guilty, and I just wanted to see how he was answering those questions and look at him. And I was sick when I got finished watching that.
We're touching raw emotion here.
Yeah.
And we're unearthing raw emotion. And it's raw on both sides. It's raw on the advocacy side that knows everything, that knows the facts. And no matter how loud you're screaming, you don't feel like it's being listened to by the people who need to listen. And there's anger from that. And I can understand that. I can understand the anger of feeling a certain way and wishing everyone else felt the same. then there's the anger being unearthed from the other side that, like you, is a huge advocate for a lot of the charges that were levied on this individual. And the way the media portrayed it, they went out of their way to make him look like a monster before the trial.
I mean, it's true. I mean, you just played several news stories that, you know, that's how it was. And, you know, it still is sometimes.
And you only go by the limited access of information you have at the end of the day. And if that's all you're getting, that's what your opinion is going to be.
Well, you know, I really, after I watched that, I just wanted to find everything I could to try to see why it happened, because it doesn't make sense why it happened. You know, and the detectives said in their interview, and I'll reference Michelle Malkin a lot because she's the first person that came on board to try to tell Daniel's side of the story. You know, but so, God, I just lost my train of thought right there, which is a common thing for me.
So let me do a quick plug real quick while you gather that. I wanted to plug the Discord. And the Discord, I just had it 3 seconds ago, and all of a sudden now I just lost it. But I want to definitely plug the Discord, and I also want to really mention welcome to everybody from that Discord. We are great to have you here tonight. I just had it 2 seconds ago. Here it is. Join the Discord. That's the link right there. Daniel's Den. It's the Daniel's Truth. And the one thing I told you, and I really want to stress to everybody, is we're going to have both sides of the fence today. This is episode 1. A lot of my listeners have been begging me to prove them wrong when it comes to this situation. So the chat may be weighing one way or another. And I like challenges, by the way, Kate. I do. I love challenges. Now, is it Kay or Kate?
It's Kate.
Okay, it is Kate, because someone said Kay, because everyone's like, why is he calling him Kate? Because it says Kate right there. That's why I'm calling her Kate.
No, I mean, I have people who call me Kay as well. So
Okay.
whichever.
Maybe that's why. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at case number F2016-62. Is this the first one you want me to start off with?
Oh, well, I mean, we can do this. What this is the amicus brief. So this is just something that 2 civil rights attorneys put together and presented to the court, which the court rejected. And it basically talks about the racial tensions of the time. It was trying to give the court a sense, like a perspective of what was going on leading up to the trial, during the trial, the aftermath of the trial. You can see in the index back there what this document goes through. Mostly I put that link up just so that you, and I should have made the note, just so that you would put it in the down below so people can go to it after the video is over.
Definitely.
And, you know, it's one of the things that just helps people understand more about why this happened, if you can understand why this happened. And then I put did I give you the DNA report from the 6 forensic?
I believe you did. I'm loading that now. We have.
That was actually another thing that I just wanted you to link at the bottom for people to read through afterwards, because you know, would take some time to go over it. But basically what they were doing was telling the court that the DNA evidence was misrepresented and that it is likely non it's likely not nefarious. It's skin cell transfer DNA, and given the small amount of it as well was another reason that they think it would be that. But you know, that's also something that the court did not want to have that information. It seems like anything that would be exculpatory was just denied. Only one judge with the previous document, the amicus brief from the civil rights attorneys,
Right.
that was the only document that at least one judge said, well, I would have at least read the document before I denied accepting it. And so he dissented from their decision to reject it.
So I'm going to play the Terry Morris recorded interview.
Okay.
What you sent me was the audio only.
Okay.
And I really think we need to see the visual. This is very, very crucial. This is kind of the first ball we're throwing up there right now. Are you able to tell me timestamp why it's the end of the video, correct?
I do not know if I have that access to that entire video from the defense.
You sent me the audio of it, and it seemed like in the audio version, because I don't know how to play audio without putting a video up and doing it that way. So what we're looking at now is June 3rd, 2014. We're looking at Terry Morris interviewing with Oklahoma City Police Detective Rocky Gregory.
Okay.
Morris gives a version of events that makes it impossible for Holtzclaw to be her attacker. Later, after this interview, Morris changes her story to match a time when Daniel Holtzclaw had stopped her, but only after the new location was suggested by Mr. Gregory. Now, this is 24 minutes long, so I'm kind of going to hit it at the 20-minute mark.
Okay.
And you can tell me to pause it whenever you may, please.
Okay.
Because we can kind of do commentary over this as well.
Before you
Yep.
you start it, can I just set up what happened with her? I mean, we're starting here with Terry Morris, but she's not the first. They're calling her the first victim because she had she was involved in a 911 call where she was in a domestic dispute with her former boyfriend, and she was tearing up his car. That was Christopher Shelton that you saw in one of the videos that you played at the front of the show. And so she when she realized he was calling the police, she yells at him, and she's mentally ill, and she is a substance user, and he said she was under the influence of something that night. So he calls 911. She realizes he's calling 911, and this would have been May 20th, I think. If I'm wrong about that, Rhonda could put it in the chat. And so when she realizes that, she says, "You're going to call the police." I'm paraphrasing here. "You're going to call the police, like the same motherfuckers that raped me." And so then the police get there, and she tells him, I guess she's freaking out, telling him that, you know, she's afraid she's going to be raped. And then it's interesting in the police report later where the victim was Christopher Shelton. He's the one who placed the 911 call because she was destroying his car. But in the police report, it doesn't say anything about any of that. It just calls her the victim and takes off with the case that way. But so this is May 20th that happened.
So you're
being brought in for an initial interview on June 3rd.
So hold on one second. Let me just back up 1 second.
Mhm.
So what you just said about the 911 call, this is the individual you are referencing, correct?
That's correct. Terry.
All right.
Oh,
That is
Christopher-
who is that again?
That's her ex-boyfriend, Christopher Shelton, on the screen there, and her
On the
name
left.
is Terry Morris. And they needed to link her to Janie Liggins' case to make him a serial rapist. So, we're kind of starting with really, even though they call her accuser number 1 because of the date of her, what
So
up being her allegations.
Terry Morris claimed the assault happened on either May 20th or May 21st. She couldn't recall which day.
Yeah, and that didn't work out. That didn't actually work out for it to be the 20th or 21st, because when they pulled Holtzclaw's GPS of his car, his AVO records, he had pulled her over on, I believe, May 8th, if my memory is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really needed to talk her into it being May 8th. And you'll see as this progresses that, she doesn't want to pursue the case. She doesn't want to pursue it. She begs Rocky Gregory, one of the detectives, to just leave her alone. And
So let's start with her
Yep.
start with her interrogation then. Let me grab that. That is definitely available somewhere, so bear with me on that.
I mean, you can go ahead and play this clip. This is going to be
That's the big one to me. That's the
Yeah.
one that really pops into the point where it's problematic. So let's start playing this one again. You can kind of tell me to pause it and everything when you want. But let's kind of go to the Terry Morris thing, because the Terry Morris thing to me was one of the first game changers. As somebody who thought, wow, look what he did. And then once I saw that interrogation, and then I went back to see Daniel's full interrogation. Yeah.
Well, will you link this video down in the description so people
Yes.
can watch the entire thing? I think it's really important.
This is a 24-minute video. I'm going to link it now in the chat. Hold on. I'm trying to go through multiple screens here. So see, here's a challenge. We have a buffet right now, and we got to figure out which one to choose. So let's start with this right now, with the Terry Morris one.
Yeah, it's important because there are no two more important people in this than, well, 3 really, than Terry Morris, Janie Liggins, and then Adara Gardner, because it ended up being her DNA.
Mm-hmm. Is there any reason why there's a baby to the left? I'm sorry.
I can only imagine that in this interview room, and because this is sex crimes interview room, that maybe they use those dolls when they bring children in.
Okay.
I imagine that's what it is.
God.
So what does his body language tell you? I mean, I break down the body cam, the footages every week.
I think she needs a fix, maybe.
Was this the same one who testified on PCP?
No, that would be Tabitha Barnes.
Yeah, she's definitely not in the right state of mind. And in my opinion, when you're in this state of mind, what interrogation interview is going to be considered credible? Look at this woman.
I feel so sorry for this. Out of all the women, I feel so most sorry for her. What they
There
did was horrible.
I can't tell you. I want to beg you to give me information.
I know. I was was in person. I talked to my cousin. I just rather leave it alone, like he said.
You know I'm on your side. I am one of the good guys. Okay.
I just think
I'm sorry.
I'm a big Leo supporter, and I'm looking at this right now. And I'm looking at a law enforcement officer, an investigator, whatever you want to call him, with a pen and a paper, looking for something to write down and make official. knowing she's not in the right state of mind. She's not. How could looking at her state of mind, how can this investigator consider her or take her serious at all?
Well, okay, so this is prior to Daniel getting arrested. So
Okay.
I get I don't like how he treats her in this interview, but maybe that's just how he is all the time, because this is June 3rd and Daniel is arrested on June 18th. So it's taken him from May 20th or May 8th to, yeah, it's taken him from May 8th to June 3rd to get her in here, because that night in the parking lot, when the police came out and started getting her story about her rape story that happened on the 20th or 21st, she said, oh no, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. See, this is the thing. This case is so freaking confusing. So no, May 8th is the date that they pushed, that they convinced her to go with in the end, because that matched Daniel's ADL. She said it was May 20th or 21st, and I think May 24th is when the 911 call happened and they started the report on her case. So from May 24th to June 3rd, this is her first interview.
They
did call a sex crimes detective out to the scene. They did call for one, but the lieutenant or the supervisor said they wouldn't be sending one out. And I don't know if that's because they knew Terry Morris and just didn't find her credible until they needed her to be credible, or why they would not take her seriously when she made the initial allegations. But
in your humble opinion, right when we're at this point, are they looking for justice or are they looking for one person?
I don't know. I think they're just wanting to, I don't know what they're doing, what he's doing at this point. I mean, down the road when he tracks her down with the CI after Daniel gets arrested and they decide that, oh, he's a serial rapist. Hey, Rocky has this case sitting on his desk, that Terry Morris case. Do you think those could be related? And they desperately needed to link Terry Morris to Daniel Holtzclaw to take off with the serial rapist theory.
Whew. Let's go.
So, I mean, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and play.
You don't have to apologize for anything, okay? Okay. Is it the mental issues? Is that affecting you, or?
Yeah, kind of. I don't go to counseling. I just rather leave it alone. I just want to go start over.
Well,
I'll be gone for summer.
But you know, the thing is I still got to watch other women.
I'm sorry. Don't put that on me, please. Don't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's not right to do me like that.
I'm not trying to be mean, but you understand why.
That's not right to do that to me.
Well, I'm not trying to be mean, but you know I got a job to do. Okay, I'm gonna give you my number. Okay, you can call me, and even if you lose this, know that the sex crimes, Oklahoma City. I don't care if you got to call 911.
Okay.
They'll get them switched over.
Okay.
Is there anything I can do to persuade you to talk to me?
No, not.
I mean, anything.
I need time.
I mean, if you want.
I don't know. It just seems, and I'm sorry for those who I mean, there should be a sense of desperation, but I don't know what his intent is. What is he desperate for? Is he desperate to put anything on that paper, or is he desperate to figure out what's going on?
I don't know, but she's signing a refusal to prosecute right now. She's told him she doesn't want to pursue it. He brought her in anyway. She's now signing this refusal to prosecute. So should leave her alone after that, but they could not leave her alone because they needed her to not only become a part of the case, but to change her story of when it occurred and where it occurred. And they did finally, after she got arrested and was in jail, they do finally get her to change her story.
So this is at a point where she doesn't want anything to do with it, walks away.
Another detective?
Right. She's not going to come along and
I'll try anything.
Jail.
Okay.
No. If I did have to talk to someone, I'd rather it would be you, but it's not. Right now, it's not.
Okay. Is there a phone number I can call you?
No, unfortunately, I left my phone in a friend's truck. Well, lost thing.
How about your uncle? Is there a phone number there?
No, it's just he ain't got no phone.
How?
He's waiting on him to come put it. You know.
If I was to, how would I?
You can call my granny's number 42.
I've been over there.
That's my grandma's.
Any other numbers?
All right. So walk me through. There's two ways of looking at it. One side of the fence is this is a victim of a crime who doesn't want to speak up. That's common. You know that with the advocacy work you do. Then there's the other side of the fence where you have to look at it where if she has nothing to say, she's not going to say anything.
Right.
And she's not going to go along with a story that she doesn't want anything to do with. But despite those two sides of the fence, we have to look at the third side, which in my opinion is the facts. She's under the influence. There should have been no pen. There should have been no paper. This was a weak attempt to get any information from a woman who clearly was under the influence and could not give credible, legible testimony. True or false?
I mean, yeah, true, but I also think that when she made the allegation, she did it to get out of trouble at that time.
Right.
She didn't want to go to jail for tearing up his car.
So
Because
right.
the timing of her saying that, the timing was so suspect. They've been having this. I mean, I don't know. She was with him for 20, 30 minutes.
Right.
That the 911 call is several minutes long before the cops get there, and Christopher Shelton is just beside himself because she's throwing things at him and ripping up the dash of his car and ripping the stereo out of his car and things like that. And then he calls the police, and that's when she blurts out that she's, the same motherfuckers that done raped me, I think is what she said. So, maybe by this point, she really didn't want to go through with a false allegation. She just didn't want to pursue it. She wanted out of it. And I feel like, she has enough problems without making up a story that she's going to have to stand behind. And she tried to say, no, she didn't want to pursue it over and over again. And they just wouldn't let her.
So which next one do you want to listen to? Which next interview do you think would be important to kind of break down? We got Florine Mathis. We have Shadnairon Hill. We have Sydney Sparksdale.
Do you have the clip where
we got the great interview as well. Rosetta Great.
Well, Carla Raines is a good one too, because she says 7 times that she's not a victim. What you see in this case is the media portrayed this, that all these women came forward. That's not true.
You said Carla Raines?
Carla Raines, and I gave you a few clips of some audio on her too.
Yeah, the audio is It's acting a little funky right now for some reason.
Okay, well, so
So, does anyone, Rhonda, do you have the YouTube link for Reigns? Carla, actually, I misspelled it, so let me try to get it myself. I misspelled it. The Carla Reigns allegations. I mean, that's as far as the interview. Finding the interview is have you noticed a YouTube kind of shadow banning when it comes to Daniel?
I haven't really noticed that, but I mean, there's a lot of negative stuff out there initially when I got involved, but it seems like it's balancing out now. But he's still in the appeals process, so finding information
Right.
publicly on YouTube, you're just not going to find it there.
Right.
You're going to have to be inside the case, or you're going to have to do what the Discord team does and, get the documents via the Freedom of Information Act.
I want to try to play it through QuickTime. Bear with me here. First time doing audio only. I should have uploaded it to like a blank screen and did it that way. That would have been easier to do it that way. One second.
Yeah, while you're doing that, and I'll stop talking if it starts playing, but so Terry, let's see. So Terry Morris does end up being she does end up changing her story, So they interviewed her here, the video that you saw, and then they wanted to find her again after Holtzclaw was arrested because they really needed to link her to the case. So they couldn't find her, so they get a private informant to track her down and finally do, and Rocky gets up and goes out wherever they're holding her at this location in the back of a police car. She's banging her head on the window. She's telling him she doesn't want to talk to him about it. She doesn't want to pursue it. And they're holding her until he gets there, which he does. And he brings with him another officer that hadn't been working on the case with the 6-pack, hoping that she'll look at the 6-pack.
Mm-hmm.
And she still doesn't want to be a part of the case. And so they end up letting her go. And then she gets arrested, and they let her sit in jail for a little while before they go up there to talk to her. But when you listen to the interview on, and a lot of this stuff, if you guys are interested, is posted in the Discord group under the documents or videos. But so, she does change her story, but they have a problem in this case with recording crucial interviews. It's interesting. The ones that would be the most valuable are missing, and either they forgot to take a recorder with them, or the recorder malfunctioned, or whatever the case may be. So at this jailhouse interview, they've gone over the story with her. They've got her to change to the May 8th date. And Rocky needs to get that on tape because all he has is her saying she doesn't want to pursue the case. And the police report from the night that she first reported.
All right, let's see if this works.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a Podbean version too, but let me see if this works too. Fancy. It did work. All right. Now let me play it.
We're to Carla Reigns, who's a different accuser. So.
Well, we initially mentioned the Carla Reigns audio, correct?
Yeah. No, I'm just telling the people.
Yep. The Carla Reigns one is one of the big ones to kind of go to. Here we go. Just let me know if you hear the audio, okay? It's going to play in a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear that?
No. Oh, there it is. Do you have volume more than that?
It's audio only. Yep.
It's super low volume.
It's low volume.
Super low volume, yes.
All right, let me blast it a little bit more. How about now?
No, it's really still low.
Still low?
In the chat, can you guys hear it?
It's blasting for me.
Okay.
Volume up. Someone said volume up. It was blasting for me. Let me grab the Podbean link instead, but it was loud for me. Can't hear. 2 people said they can't hear.
Yeah, I mean.
Hear it, so all right, let me grab the Podbean one from. Yeah, let me grab. That was the first time doing that. Huh. Now I know. Trial bearer. All right, let me grab the Podbean part 2, part 1. Which should I? Right, yeah, Podbean. Let's play this one because this, in my opinion, is this the? This is a podcast talking about the interview.
What you're trying to play right now?
Yeah, as the Bates investigation talking about the interview.
Yeah, but what he's playing a clip of a police interview with
Okay.
Gregory. So
Do you know what timestamp it starts with?
I don't. I mean, it's
All right.
it's a 4-minute thing, I think.
All right, let's go. It's 34 minutes on this one.
This podcast deals with the.
Oh, you're on
August 5th.
I'm on the wrong one?
No, I thought I didn't know you were going to the podcast. I see.
Well, that's all she could find is that. That's all she could find, and that's all I could find too. I've been trying to scratch for it.
I'm not going to be able to tell you a timestamp. Yep. We could.
Let me kind of skim through it.
See supplemental. She advised she would speak with me in day. August. Bates Investigates, Season 1, in defense of Daniel Holtzclaw. This is episode 15.
Everyone go check them out.
In the last episode, I covered when Barnes became incoherent and was unable to stay awake. Detective Gregory made plans with her to return the next morning. On that next day, August 15th, 2014, Detective Gregory went to try to interview accuser Barnes for a second time.
Barnes is not the right one, right? Like it's Range you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah, I don't know why that's.
Yeah, they're saying Barnes.
Yeah, happy.
All right.
Yeah. Is he, what you mean, exposed?
All right, let's hit this one.
If you had any drugs on you, anything like that, and you had to
expose myself.
Is this the Barnes interview?
Let me listen to her.
Yeah, let's kind of hit this one since we got something.
I don't understand.
So you're wanting your ID back? Is that...
No. I lost my ID. I was just
you lost it?
Yeah, this is a new one, and I lost my old one.
It's okay.
Carla Rain.
Okay. Just in the past year, or we could say 2, but I'm going to focus in on mainly like this year, 2014, but let's go back just a year. Okay. Have you ever come to any contact where an officer has been inappropriate?
No.
So this is what accuser?
What you were trying to play, yeah.
So is this Rains?
This is Range. Yeah, let that play right there. This is going to be her denying it 7 times.
Awesome.
Or had to expose yourself to him?
No.
Okay.
I haven't really had no. I had, I think, like one contact since this year, and it was just 2. Well, actually, I wasn't driving, and I was in the passenger seat, but I carry my ID and everything.
Okay.
But I don't be on the streets no more. I don't do drugs and all that kind of stuff. See, I don't.
But you wasn't asked to, if you had any drugs on you, anything like that, and you had to
expose myself. I mean, an officer this year.
Hi.
Oh, that's my mother.
How you doing? Yes, ma'am. I think I am. Sometimes I pretend to be.
No. How did you get my name anyway on something like this?
Well, this is the deal. We got several victims. Okay. And so we're trying to go back on this guy. And he's a pretty bad guy.
Was he addressing himself as an officer or prostitution?
Do what?
Oklahoma. All these white folks is crazy. As far as, because I haven't really been on the streets and stuff that much. So, but I mean, I know what you're talking about. I just couldn't really talk in front of her, but I know what you're talking about as far as, but I haven't, what was he, what you mean, expose himself as far as like asking for prostitution or,
Not even necessarily for prostitutes, but he tries to. He's having women do different things.
thinking they gonna go to jail if they do a favor for him, he would.
There you go.
Okay, I know.
There you go.
Does it sound like he kind of led the horse to the water, hoping the horse would drink the water?
Yeah, listen to what she ends up telling him that he ignores.
Within the past year, I really can't really recall.
And how I come across your name is that anybody with like anybody he's been running. Okay. Now we kind of came up with a list.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's been in the only area.
The problem is,
I've been in this area. See, this is the only one I got the prosecution. This is the only area that I was in, and I guess like about 3 or 4 months, because I had went to detox when they first started open, because I used to be right down the street. But then from 19th, but 20th, on down to maybe 17th within this area. That was the area that I was. That's the area, the main area that I was in prostitution in. And I mean, you have some men stop with themselves already exposed, and they'll have you play with them. You know, how they stand on they play with themselves. It's a couple men that does that.
Mm-hmm.
They play with themselves. They already have themselves exposed when they stop you, and then they hand you like $20 through the window, and it's been a couple of men that does that. Yeah.
now are you talking about cops or are you talking
I don't know if they'll be cops or not. Sometimes
I don't know if they'd be cops or not. That's kind of important. No? That part's kind of important.
Yeah, what she ends up saying is that it's a black person.
Keep going.
You know, I never had a uniform officer. There's only one officer that I know a few years back. He used to, this was before OU was only going to 16th Street and that. He was a black cop. They used to come around here, but like to say he done got stopped by him, but he didn't question me. But he's just like, I've seen a girl that exposed her breast to him before, but it's for.
She said black cop.
Yeah, she said black cop, but he just ignores that. Goes on with, she's not coming along with the story. He's going to have to work on her. So they work on her just
for public knowledge. You did a video chat today with Daniel, correct?
I did.
Is he black?
No.
Doesn't look black at all. No complexion.
No, he's 6'2". He's probably at the time, I think he weighed 240 pounds, if I'm remembering that right. He's half white, half Asian, but he mostly just looks white.
Mm-hmm. As people can see by the background of the.
I mean,
stream.
I see the Asian in his eyes. Otherwise, I don't see Asian at all.
Mm-hmm.
Black hair, I guess.
All right, let's kind of keep going. Tell me when you want to pause or jump in, okay?
All right.
Or him threatening to arrest somebody or they. Okay. I've never seen that before, but.
Okay. Well, and the short list that we've had, a lot of them something's happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And no one came forward or anything. We had to go to them.
Yeah.
And so that's why.
Because you know what? It's like this. If they do come forward, a lot of times you gotta know what they got to deal with. What you guys don't see what we have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? They want to say like they want to search you, or they search the car, or something like that, and get the car. There's a lot of problems. That's the women that be out there. Even it's like we walking down the street sometime. I even got stopped. I mean, I used to live right here on 14th and McKellen. I was walking, this officer in a black car stopped me. I said, why are you stopping me? He asked me. I said, I live right here on 14th. I was just a block, 2 blocks from my house. And he was just like, well, we just want to talk to you. I said, well, what you want to talk to me for? And so he searched me. He searched me and everything like that. You know how they do people all and all this stuff. He searched me. And I'm like, I'm right around the corner from my house. What do you want from me? And he was like, well, I just moved the car. But we had me in the car for like 30, 45 minutes. I girl, 16.
How long ago?
This was last year. It was summertime, and I remember it was at just turned night, and I left my house on 14th. We stayed in between Pelham and Missouri.
Who do we think she's talking about? If you know,
I mean, there's a short black cop named Alexander Edwards that was arrested for, get two cops mixed up that got arrested. Jeff Sellers was another. I think he got arrested for having sex with prostitutes on the clock. And Alexander Edwards, I'm not sure if he was, I mean, I don't know if he was on the clock when he was with prostitutes, but he did tip off that community to a undercover operation that Oklahoma City Police Department had going on and kind of blew it up a little bit.
let's talk about Jeff Sellers.
Yeah, he did face charges for that. I mean, other than what you're showing right there, that's about what I know about Jeff Sellers, because there's never been any looking into any other person who could have done this. I mean, Kim Davis, one of the lead detectives, said right away at the conclusion of Daniel's 2-hour interview that he was guilty and he was a monster, and she already had her mind made up. They didn't really look to solve anything, because Janie Liggins, the initial person that he did pull over that started this whole investigation, was when he clocked out at 2 a.m. He is leaving the station. He shuts down his computer. They showed at trial that that was a pattern. He always did that about the same place. It's just like automatic pilot. It was against police policy to shut off your computer, but that had been sent out in an email to everyone like a month before. So it was obviously a problem widespread to have a policy about it. So yeah, he did shut off his computer. He didn't call her in. He pulled her over because she swerved. He decided to stop her and check it out. He stopped her just past a really busy intersection with a building that had, several, like 30, I think it had 30 something cameras, and they came away with one piece of footage from one camera that was really grainy, that just showed that, yes, there was a police car pulling over another car. It timestamps when it happened, when it ended. It shows both of them driving away. So he didn't call it in, and everything she said in her interview, everything except the sexual allegations was true, is what happened. It's just that the sexual allegations got inserted into that. And she said that his erect penis just appeared from the unzipped fly of his pants, but he wears compression shorts with no fly.
Can we break down the equipment real quick?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when
What are we looking at? What are we looking at right here?
So when you watch the 2-hour interview, which we should probably link down below too, so people can look at his interrogation or his interview, they wanted to take his pants to test his pants for DNA. So he starts stripping down, and so he takes his pants off, and then number 6, you have the shirt stays to keep his shirt tucked in. Then he had in number 4, the bulletproof vest that he had a little flap that came down and hung like below his groin, like a cup or whatever. I don't really know how to explain it. So if you just look at this rig, I mean, look at him with his gun belt and everything on, and then imagine that he just whips his penis out through the unzipped fly of those pants with those compression shorts on, with that bulletproof vest on that has a groin flap, with his shirt pulled down with those shirt stays. Does that make sense? It's just not logical, for one thing. And then her SANE kit comes back negative for his DNA. She says that he put his hands on the patrol car, and then he made her put her hands on the patrol car. No prints on the car. No rain that night that would have washed the car away. Obvious, layer of Oklahoma dust, or like, just not a dirty car, but it would have been a good surface for prints.
I mean, that's a big reason officers tag cars. They put the thumbprint on the back of the vehicles for that particular reason.
Yeah, but none of those things. So this is your initial accuser. And I mean, first of all, you should be trying to figure out if these allegations are true or false. You have a duty to check the evidence and see, does it match the allegations? Everything that Holtzclaw said checked out. And Kim Davis, she said to the media, everything she said checked out, and nothing he said checked out. Something like that.
Question.
It ended up being opposite from that.
So, question in the chat is: did he actually have number 6 on, or is that only an option?
What was number 6?
Number 6 is at the holster area, right there.
He did have the shirt stays on. Yes.
He did have the shirt stays on. There was another question that essentially states that I'm trying to rephrase the question. Are you saying that it would be unable for him to get his groin out of his uniform? That's not.
No, I mean, I think maybe you could push that aside and get the top of your compression shorts pulled down, and then get your penis work through the zipper. But the way she said that it just appeared, she didn't really see, because it happened so fast.
So let's talk about that equipment and where he pretty much gave up the pants and gave everything up. Stop me any point.
Mostly every day, yeah.
I'm a woman, and I know what it feels like to be woke up for sex, and I don't like that. And you remember it, and I don't.
Yeah. Okay. You've got a 27-year-old with a high sex drive. He works out all the time. He's a bodybuilder. That's his passion. That's what he spends all his spare time doing. She's questioning about his sex life and how much he masturbates and all that. And his answers are completely normal for his age. And she's comparing herself of what she wants and thinks to him, which is completely ridiculous. And plus, she's embarrassing the crap out of him because, like I said, I didn't know Daniel when all this happened. I have since not only developed a friendship with him, but visited him in prison just to get to know him. He's nothing that he's been made out to be. He is very shy. He's very humble. He's really quiet. You know, he's not going to be participating in making 12-inch, 14-inch penis jokes or being crude. He's not crude. So
Looking at it, looking at his body language, I see someone, with all due respect, very naive, thinking he's not in any trouble at all.
well, you know, he self-reported like 17 use of force allegations, and each one of those have to be um, they have to be investigated. And I don't know, maybe I mean, these aren't complaints from people he arrested. These are him saying, hey, I had to use more force than just placing the handcuffs on. And the policy is, if you have to use more force than just placing them in handcuffs, you must report that. And so he was constantly reporting that and constantly being investigated and constantly being cleared. I don't know, as I try to think, why the hell did this happen? Because it doesn't make sense. That's one thing that pops into my head sometimes is was he like a pain in the ass and too good? Was he too good? I don't know.
There's a group of people who grow up and they're too honest. They're honest to a fault. We live in an age right now with excessive force, but look at the headlines.
Yeah.
Look at every officer that's doing this excessive force. They're not reporting it. They're not documenting it. It's being covered up. I mean, you mean to tell me every officer we're hearing about that has been over excessive use of force that's viral, that has no prior of that? You think that's suspicious? To me, I do. And I think it's really impressive to see an officer own up to every single thing he did.
Yeah, I mean, he's no saint. Let's don't go there. I mean, you know, he did some things like running a check on new girlfriends or, you know, to see if they had anything weird. Things that, you know, if you talk to officers, a lot of officers I've talked to say, you know, it was against the rules, but everyone does it. It's just one of those things when you have access and you're able to do that, people just do it because they can. So, you know, I don't want to paint him as a saint who never broke any rules because, you know, as we unfold this, you'll see that, you know, not only did he do checks on different people, he also what is the other? Oh my gosh. Wow, Kay has brain fade.
I mean, I think the fact that he's forthcoming with every incident, putting it on paper, willing to be held accountable for it, is what a lot of anti-police are looking for. They're looking for accountability. They're looking for somebody who puts pen to paper. Because you and I both know anybody and everybody can FOIA that and get that documentation and expose.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel didn't care about that. For this situation, I mean, listen, we're all flawed. We're all flawed human beings. Nobody's perfect here. But I'm saying the fact that he listed everything that he did wrong for the public to view and scrutinize is a rare thing.
I was reading some comments on one of Eric Cozy's videos about he had just started. He was a giant supporter for Brendan Dassey, and Stephen Avery just passed away at the age of 44, which is such a tragedy for the wrongful conviction community. But I was reading a comment on one of his first videos, and someone made a comment. People were saying, oh, that's bullshit. Uh, maybe one or two people would be women. You would say, oh, he could be innocent. But, when there's 13, there's no way. And just kind of railing on that. But I guess I need to do videos in the morning because I get so far down a rabbit hole, I forget what I'm saying. So I'm back to the comment was that, oh, hey, maybe, what I heard from Sergeant or Captain Patton, or I think it was Patton, is that Daniel didn't play nice in the Armstrong case. I'm like, what? Like, what would that mean? That, that was the person who died while being taken into custody. What does that mean? He didn't play nice. Like, he didn't go along with whatever this obviously corrupt police department wanted him to go along with. I don't know. Those aren't things I can talk about with Daniel, obviously, because his appeals are still in the works and everything's recorded. So,
Do you mind if we touch on the Armstrong thing, or real quick, and then come back to it?
I really don't know. I'd be happy to dig into that more. Other than what I read in an article, I don't know about. I know the guy had a lot of drugs in his system.
Mhm.
And I know that he was being really out of control and hard to take into custody.
Right.
But they did finally get him down, and they were going to get him in handcuffs.
Let's kind of share it.
They didn't shoot him, but he died. He did.
Here it is. Here it is right now.
Death lawsuit after her son died while being restrained by police. Valencia Maiden alleges officers used excessive force in arresting her son in May of 2013.
He was told by them he couldn't get in that car. He got to get in this car. Like I told you, this wasn't a grave circumstance. He had no clothes on. He wasn't no hurt or harm to nobody but his own self.
Investigators say Clifton Armstrong called 911 after he became paranoid that someone was trying to hurt him. Officers placed Armstrong in handcuffs and used belts to restrain his legs. He then became unresponsive and was transported to a hospital where he later died. The medical examiner ruled the death an accident and attributed the cause to excited syndrome due to methamphetamine toxicity. In addition, the report noted Armstrong's physical confrontation with police was an aggravating factor to his death.
With the help of the family, 2 officers were able to get this individual outside, at which time he stripped off his clothes and became combative and uncontrollable. With the family's help, officers got him on the ground and tried to restrain and calm him. This did not work. Additional officers arrived. They were able to get him in handcuffs. They were able to apply what we call a maximal restraint, which is to confine the legs and the arms so that the person can't kick and run.
Maiden's lawsuit, filed in January, names the responding officers as well as Police Chief Bill City. She is asking for $75,000 in damages. A department investigation and Oklahoma County District Attorney David Prater both.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, all that I know is that he did a high level of drugs in his system. And I mean, it sounds like from that report that he wasn't in a good space to start with.
Yeah, we kind of
I
had
mean, didn't know I did know that he was naked.
right. So let's get back to the interrogation. 2-hour mark. We had a good point. You want to fast forward a little bit? You want to rewind? You want to get straight to the evidence?
No, that's fine. We can. You see right here. Go to where they're having him put his pants in the bag, and
Right
so Rocky Gregory's collecting.
Yep.
Gonna take his pants.
And this is one of the other game changers for me to see bare hands from an investigator watching it. I watched it, the whole thing from beginning to the end, and the first, I'm just like, nothing's going to happen. Like, what's going on here? There's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. Like, he's not going to admit to something. There's nothing to see here. And at the time, I thought, you know what? I think he did it. But when I saw the bare hands, that's when I was like, whoa. Even if he did do it, you could have just threw it out the window by doing what they did with the bare hands. To think of how careless that is.
I don't know. It's hard to believe. I know that several of the higher ups and the people that I believe committed the most corruption in this case, they had a meeting earlier that morning. So did they decide that he was going down for this already? I think they must have decided that, because there's nothing that they got that would lead them forward to
So what was going
name
on?
him as a suspect.
What was going on in the news prior to Daniel's case that is very important for you to bring up tonight?
You know, I can't really tell you specifics because, I mean, I think everyone remembers when Ferguson happened. And for me, when Ferguson happened, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this has been so crazy lately. I can't tell you what there are so many people who have been the victim of police brutality. I mean, people that fought the police and it ended badly, or just, cops that are out of control, hurting people. But there's not anything that I can say, hey, it's the Michael Brown, or everything happened that happened prior to Ferguson are things that didn't get a lot of publicity. The publicity really started.
What they didn't get with Ferguson was justice.
Yeah.
Anger ensues from that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that was the whole thing, is because that didn't end the way it should have. I mean, in my opinion.
White officer kills I believe it was a white officer kills a black man, correct?
And yes.
Now we have allegedly
going to be held accountable,
Right.
And on the heels of that, you have a white officer that raped 13 black women.
Wow. It couldn't get more.
Yeah, this isn't gonna, he's going down, man. And he did.
Did he have a chance?
No, he never had a chance. No.
Right.
No, I mean, no. I mean, this will unfold into a Netflix series while while we're trying to get him out of prison, probably. And people will start seeing this convoluted story in 20 episodes. I mean, you can go to Bates Investigates, the podcast, and listen to, I think 23 episodes are out already, and he's not even to the trial yet. So
why would we muddy DNA with evidence? Why would we touch things that are evidence? Why? I mean, every crime scene, I mean, you see CSI and all these fancy TV shows. What do you hear? The slap of the gloves being put on before they touch any evidence, right?
yeah, but why would you not take his underwear if he supposedly raped 2 women and sodomized another? I mean, he should have saliva stains. 3 women in those pants.
Mm-hmm.
What? We didn't even test. No one tested the pants for.
Let's kind of go through a little bit of it.
All right, man. Pants in this bag and
so it's clear by the hands he's got no gloves on, this investigator, right now.
Yeah, and he look how awkward he is. It's like, oh yeah, this is the bag. It's almost like he's never collected any evidence before, but I'm sure he has.
It's almost like he's never collected evidence before, and he knows something that Daniel doesn't know.
Yeah, Daniel started realizing about 10 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago that, you know, this
It's not serious.
he didn't understand what was happening. He didn't understand the seriousness of what was being leveled against him. Yeah, watch this.
Unless you want to keep the shirt on. I don't know. I don't know if this shirt's gonna be big enough for you. You're a big old boy. I was gonna get a tie back, so I don't know where it is.
Yeah, let's just.
I'm sorry. That bothers me so much.
Let's put him in this bag, okay?
He's rubbing his hands all around the rim of the bag and punching
Yeah,
the hole.
then we're gonna see that he just lets Daniel roll up his pants with his belt still on there, you know, contaminating every turn of the pants. Ugh.
Sorry, I get angry, you know.
But you'll have a chance to go ahead, you can go ahead and let it play. You'll have a chance to see, you know, him, his compression shorts and
Right. So this is with it on mute right now.
It's your life, man.
It's your life.
We usually have to spend.
That's your wine.
Time.
I try to have my girlfriend.
Hey, I try to call up my wife all the time. Hey, she shoots me down.
She's probably just imagine her just being all nervous and whatnot. You know?
He's just so worried about his girlfriend right now.
Right.
Well, you
Yep.
can get home and kind of explain everything.
What we didn't see, what we just missed here was Kim Davis asking him if he had sex with his girlfriend the night before. And he said he tried to messed around a little bit, but she was tired and kind of pushed me off. So I just went to sleep. So
But yeah, let's play that part.
And a shirt. I don't know if the shirt will fit in a set. Before I call Carrie. You tried to have sex with Carrie.
I try to have my girlfriend. Yes, that was in my bed. Yes.
Do you ever cheat on her?
No.
So it's only Carrie right now.
Carrie.
Okay.
All right, man.
Put
pants in this bag and just put the. Unless you want to keep the shirt on. I don't know. I don't know if this shirt's gonna be big enough for you. You're a big old boy. I was gonna get a tie back, so I don't know where it is. Well. Can you think of anything?
Will it be okay if I tell my family about this? And
no, you
that's fine. Okay.
It's your life, man.
It's your life.
Yeah, it's your life.
It's your life. Is that essentially putting the pressure on him by saying it's your life?
No, he's just saying, it's your life. If you want to call your parents and tell them what you're being accused of, go ahead. Yeah, he's saying basically, it's your life. We just screwed it up for you.
Contact DNA. Could that be on a carpet?
I don't know. I mean, this DNA, the 17-year-old whose DNA they say was on the fly of his pants. He was wearing those pants the shift before when he pat searched her. He stopped her. He was called out to a disturbance, I guess, some friends that she was walking with were fighting, and so the cops roll up to check that out, and he's the cop, and he ends up pat searching all 3 of those people.
Let's go.
Look, we usually have to spend as much time anytime there's an allegation, okay, trying to clear up the matter one way or the other.
I just
Okay.
don't want my girlfriend to be involved. You know, it's something. I try to have sex with my girlfriend. As bad as that sounds, and as bad that sounds when she's asleep, yeah.
No, you're fine. Hey, I try to call up my wife all the time.
So walk me through what the other investigator is doing right now. She left the room and she placed a phone call, correct?
Well, she went and called Carrie, and Carrie said, no, she just calls her out of the blue. Carrie's at the gym working out. She answers her phone. It's Kim Davis on the phone saying, we don't know what she said to Carrie, but basically asking Carrie if she had sex with Daniel when he came home, or if he tried to have sex with her. And she told Kim Davis no. And so Kim Davis comes back in the room and says, you just created a lot of work for me, because it looks like I just caught you in a lie. And he says, no, I tried to have sex with my girlfriend, Carrie, and she was asleep. And we saw, that's up to speed where the part we saw. At trial, they presented the fact that Carrie takes Ambien, so maybe that's why she didn't really remember. But I just think if someone called me out of the blue and said, hey, did you have sex with your boyfriend last night? I'm not going to tell that. How are you going to answer that question? Like, who does that really?
So we're essentially stating the facts that the detective's fingers, his DNA is all over that bag.
Yeah, I mean,
it's all over those pants.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that DNA that was misrepresented at trial, saying that, Daniel's DNA wasn't in that sample.
Mhm.
There is a male in that sample. I mean, it's Adara and at least 2 other people, but there's not a complete enough profile to determine who it was.
Male DNA?
Know that there was male DNA in that sample, so that also supports transfer skin cell.
There's a possibility that male's DNA could be this investigator.
It could be Rocky's, it could be any suspect that he pat searched in those pants the shift before. We know he did pat search Adara Gardner's friend.
Has Rocky ever done a DNA test?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't matter because there's not a complete profile, so you wouldn't be able to match Rocky to it, or Daniel, or anyone. It's just, we do know there is male DNA. I'm not a DNA person.
Right.
And I'm happy to try to bring Erica Fuchs, who is a biologist, and that, she can speak about the DNA and answer questions if we want to do that.
That'd be great. Yeah,
And
we got 3 more episodes. Yeah,
if it were to her schedule, that would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see where we're going with this.
Okay.
She shoots me down.
I think she's probably just imagine her just being all nervous and whatnot. It's...
Well, you can get home, kind of explain everything.
Those are the shirts.
So what goes on from now?
And that's her calling him now.
Well, you're headed
Yeah.
home, obviously. You need some pants. Let's go ahead and get the rest of them.
Any particular reason why he didn't ask for the underwear?
Well, in the earlier part in the interview, they said, are you wearing the same pants you were wearing yesterday? And he said yes. And they said the same underwear, and he said no. And they said, where's the underwear? And he said, in the wash. And Rocky Gregory says, in the washer. But then they don't ever say, did you already run the load? Because the underwear were in the washer.
What do you think about this comment from Just Ron? The Rocky's Gregory mother-in-law was the crime lab analyst on Daniel's DNA.
Well, I just think
That's nuts. That's nuts.
He lied so much in the trial, and he did so many shady things that it's really concerning that while he's having Thanksgiving and Christmas at his mother-in-law's house, and he says they never discussed the case,
Mm-hmm.
which, of course you just have to believe him because,
We need to definitely focus on an episode on the fallacies from these investigators, and there's so many of them to point out and kind of dissect. And
yeah, we need to talk about the list too, because, not only should this have never taken off, it should have never gotten any farther when they got the DNA back, when the fingerprints weren't where she said they would be, when nothing she said matched, when it took her almost 3 hours to report it.
Right.
It should have never gone forward. You shouldn't be going to try to link her up with Terry. You shouldn't be creating a list. So I want to query Black women that have a history of prostitution and drugs and criminal background. I want a query of all those women that Daniel Holtzclaw pulled over. And so they get that list, and then they just go and start contacting these women, and they're not getting the women right away because these women are on the street. They come home every once in a while. And they're giving the information to their family members of what this police officer is doing to women, and they're telling these people that they believe that so-and-so was a victim of this police officer and they really want to talk to him. So by the time they get to the women, they already know, most of them already know what kind of things to say. It's the detectives feeding the information to the people and getting them to not only change their story, because they need their stories to line up with the AVL from Daniel's shifts. So they took him being a police officer and calling in people as he does for his job and making these traffic stops, and they used the GPS of those traffic stops against him to say, hey, look, this shows that he did this. He was in this place. And they were able to get women to come to their point of view in most cases, but even when they couldn't, it really didn't matter. It was interesting that, the jury didn't really think it was a problem if his GPS says he wasn't there, or if his GPS said, no, his car didn't stop for 10 minutes right there. It kept rolling.
Right. So this is a conversation he's having with his girlfriend.
He's telling her, she's asking him what the hell's going on.
Right.
10, 15 minutes. So I get 15, around there. I don't know, 15, 20, 30 minutes around there. Yes. I don't know. I gotta tell you, it's crazy. It's nuts. I love you, okay?
I think at this point,
I love you.
I don't know if he realizes that he's being recorded in the room and he just doesn't want to tell her on the phone what's going on.
Right.
I don't know why, she's obviously asking him what is going on.
Do you think a part of him is still trying to digest everything and trying
Oh
to
yeah.
put the
Oh yeah.
words out? It's not really easy to do. I mean,
No, man, you just got accused of 2 rapes. You just got stripped of your life. They're getting ready to come in and take his gun away and have him sign papers and put him on
Oh, it's hot in here.
some indefinite
Hey,
leave. He's in a room that is, 85 degrees.
so administrative leave with pay.
Procedures, and they got to do
Yeah,
this
and
until he's
so
all
he was
taken care of.
arrested in August, I think it was.
That you're receiving it, and I'm gonna give you a copy to take home. I want you to read it.
So this is the point where it kind of registered, right? It registered.
Yeah. I mean, I think it registered after they stripped him of his pants and he's having to talk to his girlfriend about it when he's, going to be walking away in borrowed clothes. When he came to work just 2 hours ago to start his shift, it's not the way he thought his day was going to go.
Does Kate have a breakdown of what victims are associated to which accounts of guilty versus not guilty? We will go over that. This is a 4-series episode, and I did tell you, Kate, that we might plan to go one way and go an opposite way and kind of regroup for 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
There's just so much to touch upon that it's like you haven't talked to somebody for 50 years and you don't know where to start. This is what this case is to me because I followed it, but I haven't followed it to the extent that you followed it. And it's to the point where we have so many directions to go, which is why this is a whole series for this month to touch upon things. But I really, really, really think it'll be important for us. And I know you sent it to me earlier to kind of break down the women.
Yeah, I sent you the charges. They're a photo, the charges, and guilty or innocent.
Do you want to start 1 to 3, 4, or you want to do 8 to 9? How do you want to do this? Because I know you have them numbered.
I mean, I think they numbered those in the order of time.
Okay.
Like who
Right.
allegations. Like if they could push Terry Morris back to May 5th.
Right.
Instead of May 20th, then she would be. But if we're going to go through like
Terry Morris.
it would probably be better if we start with number 1 is Janie Liggins.
All right, Liggins, you want to start with? Okay.
She's the after hours traffic stop.
Okay.
That he didn't call in.
Liggins. Okay. This is the one we saw in the beginning of the beginning of the show with the press conference, etc.
Yeah, this is the quote unquote grandma.
So this is the grandmother that everybody felt bad for. This is June 18th, 2014. Identified June 18, 2014. Count 15, procuring loot exhibition, guilty 5 years. Count 16, forcible oral sodomy, guilty 16 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah. He ends up being convicted of half of the charges.
Right.
Kind of no rhyme or reason.
So let's move on to the next one, shall we?
Yeah. So
Which
that'll
one
be.
you want to go on next?
Let's do Terry Morris next.
All right, let's go back to Terry. All right,
Just
Terry.
Because, they needed to link her, and although, she says that.
Here you go.
Okay, so we've got the first Terry Morris. I'm sorry, we've got Janie Liggins, which she really, I think just that she didn't. I wonder what happened in that 3 hours before she reported. She lived with her daughter. She went home. I just have questions if it was even her idea to report. But so she did, and I think they knew that it wasn't going to pan out. And if they had already decided that they really needed to, nip this so that we didn't end up with riots in Oklahoma City, or we didn't end up with any kind of racial tension in Oklahoma City. So they picked this Terry Morris case up off Rocky's desk and try to make it fit. But the profile that they used wasn't the profile for Janie Liggins.
Right.
Is that odd to anyone but me?
A little
She's
odd to
the
me.
one you're investigating. This is a separate case over here, Terry Morris, that you really haven't bothered to even investigate that much. Why didn't you investigate this case as hard as you jumped off a start and investigated Janie Liggins?
Right.
I don't understand why they treated her differently. She's saying she was raped. But they created the victim profile that they created the list from based on Terry Morris, not on Janie Liggins.
Right.
It's the Janie Liggins case. So
Right.
that, I mean, it was all wrong from the beginning as far as I guess they knew that they'd be able to coerce these women if they created a list that, were people that had a history of drugs and prostitution and other crimes.
So I'm gonna flash another one up there and get your opinion. Sarita Bowen.
Yeah, I mean, she's like, I can't remember with Sarita. Let me think what she's not really, I don't want to say all these women are significant, but as far as what she said happened, trying to find a note because I can't keep these straight in my head all the time. The thing that was significant about her was that she never changed her story that the person who assaulted her drove the older model black and white police car.
Mm-hmm.
She stuck to that story all the way through when in fact Daniel drove the new all black police car, and there's a definite difference. You don't mistake one for the other. So, I mean, obviously you see he was found guilty, so that didn't matter to the jury that it was an officer driving a different car than Daniel drove. So that's her. Tabitha Barnes, you want to put her up?
Let's go. Carla Raines. We've already discussed her.
Yeah.
Um.
But yeah, I mean, she is a not guilty, and I think that's based on her video 7 times saying it didn't happen.
And this one is.
That one's Tabitha Barnes. So Tabitha Barnes, she was a known drug dealer, and so her house was pretty much under surveillance quite a bit in that neighborhood. She said that her attacker was a tan color, like someone from India, not dark but not pale, and she claimed that he made her expose herself. Actually, there were other people. There was actually another officer at the scene of this interaction with Holtzclaw and Tabitha Barnes, and he left, and she alleges that after he left is when the inappropriate stuff happened. But her friend said that he handcuffed her at the beginning of their interaction. So
Walk us through what a $20 test is.
the $20 test is some officers put a $20 bill in the back seat of the police car to gauge people's honesty. So in that neighborhood, whoever was patrolling that neighborhood, one of the things that they were like their tasks or their their mission, so to speak, was to figure out where the drug houses were and who was dealing and who was supplying and all that stuff. So they would constantly be talking to people trying to get information. And Tabitha Barnes, her house was a drug house. And so he came into contact with her. I think one of the calls was a call that her house was not unsecure, like the front door was kicked in. And so when they came, I think they were investigating a possible burglary or whatever. And this is the one where Daniel went through the house to see if anyone was in there, and that's why the burglary charge against him. But what he found in the house was a known sex offender that was hanging out there, that stayed there quite a bit, sleeping in her kids' room.
Let's go over Regina Copeland. Guilty, 30 years. Count 29.
She says that Daniel allowed her to drive under the influence while he followed her to her relative's house. And then he drove her to the end of the street and he raped her. His AVL GPS showed that he never drove on that street.
Mm-hmm.
And then at trial, she changed her story from the rape lasted a long time to 5 to 10 minutes to, well, finally, these are the versions. First, it happened a long time, preliminary 5 to 10 minutes. And then by trial, it was 3 minutes because that fit within the GPS. They could make that 3-minute story work. Let's see. He did have a documented interaction. No, if he had one and it lasted less than 5 minutes, I think we should touch on for people, or people should watch the episode of Bates Investigates that where Brian Bates breaks down how the GPS works.
Right.
It's really informative, and after this I can tell you what episode that is.
Okay.
If you want to put it in the description,
Sure.
so people.
I got Rhonda as a moderator for this series, so she can definitely throw it in the chat as we speak.
Oh, okay.
For that.
Yeah.
So what interaction did Daniel Holtzclaw have with Regina Copeland prior to these allegations?
Other than just, I mean, she's not one of the main, even though he got 30
years
for and rape. I spend so much time focusing on the front end of the case because that's where everything after that should have never happened. He doesn't dispute that he had contact with these women. Yes, he had contact with these women. These women are on the list because he had contact with them, because he did have interaction with them. That's his neighborhood he patrols. He pulled these women over. I mean, if you can reverse engineer a case like that, I mean, if that's cool with people and they want something like that done to them, then they shouldn't be outraged by this sort of stuff. But
next one. Sarita Brown.
We did her already.
We did Sarita Brown already?
Let's do Shardarion Hill.
Shardarion Hill. Let's go to that one then. That one.
Because
this one's extensive. This is an extensive list here.
Yeah, this is, well, because so the initial interaction with her, she was in a borrowed vehicle smoking PCP with a friend of hers. Daniel rolls up. She tries to hide the PCP. He ends up calling a female officer to come search. And they find the PCP. He puts it on the hood of his patrol car, got her in handcuffs, and she leans down. And maybe because she was already high on PCP that she thought this was a good idea. But she decides she's going to destroy the evidence because it's enough PCP that it's probably going to get her in really big trouble. So she bends down and grabs it in her mouth, crushes the vial with her teeth, and ingests it. At which time she's rushed to the hospital. Daniel escorts her, and he had her in his custody, so he was with her, basically guarding her. And she makes the allegations that he assaulted her in a busy ER room. So why this looked bad for Daniel? And he would have been convicted on all of these charges had she not been recorded at the end of an interview saying, with Rocky Gregory, she gives her whole story and it's all long and drawn out. And then at the end, as she's walking away, she kind of stretches like, oh, it's all in a hard day's work. And she says, so is this good evidence? And Rocky says, I don't know. You tell me. And she says, well, something like, yeah, well, I think so. Because, like, even if he's not raping women, he's still getting in touch with women he pulled over.
We gotta play that. Let's play that, shall we?
Yeah, because he had gotten in touch with her because he was concerned about her. I mean, he saved her life.
Right.
He sat in an ER with her until he had to go away and help another officer chase some crazy person in the hospital, which she didn't ever know that he left.
Right.
But go ahead and play that.
So let's kind of jump in if you want. We're at the 23-minute mark. You want me to fast forward a little bit?
Man, I don't.
And they go in the middle, and I guess he's the first police car, and then they come back around. So I see him.
How many police cars are involved?
I think at the time when I first seen him, it was like 2. Okay. It was his car and a regular, because his car was the all black one, and there was another white and black car. It was 2 of them. And then,
so there's 2 of the black and whites, and then his new one.
No, it
or
was
1 black.
Right, and 1 older.
Okay.
Police car. And so when they come back around, and
you parked in the middle.
We parked like when you go in Liberty Station. You know how they is.
Okay. You probably thought
that
she's talking about what I just explained. She's talking about him rolling up and.
So the last part's the super important part. Is that where you want me to get to?
Yeah, I mean, at the very end of the interview, is where she's walking away.
Let's play it from here. We'll give it a few minutes. Opens the door. Investigator opens the door. Here we go.
A third time, but then this time.
Oh, stop.
Can I walk out there with my cousin is to make sure she's all right?
She's all right. Sure, I guess.
She might want another cigarette or something.
But I go outside or
no, just out to the where he picked me up from.
Well, you can't walk around. That's the only thing.
I think she's coming right back in here.
Okay.
She's obviously ready to get out of there.
Texting, playing on a phone.
All right. Onto the computer.
$53 minutes and 33 seconds out of the room.
Okay. I think I've got it. And I just kind of want to. I'm going to run through it. What I usually do is I just kind of run through it real quick. Mm-hmm. Make sure I've got it. Okay. Stop at Liberty Station. You're using PCP with your cousin. Mm-hmm. Is your cousin?
Was this the one who showed up on PCP that day?
No.
Wow. It's like Deal or No Deal. We can't find the briefcase. I mean, this one's on PCP. This one's on PCP. I mean,
It was Tabitha Barnes.
okay.
Your cousin didn't see anything, really.
No.
Inappropriate? Anything inappropriate there?
Mhm.
So nothing inappropriate at the
On the scene.
at the scene. Okay. That's okay.
Nothing inappropriate at the scene.
No.
Keep in mind that.
And basically, we kind of go through everything there. You're chewing on the bile. You're spitting it out. They have you lay on the ground. They tell you to get rid of it, but you're not. And so they call the ambulance. The ambulance takes you. You get washed. He watches that. You're naked. You eventually, after going through the ER, go to a totally different room, and you're in there alone. He comes up to you, and I've got which side of the bed, so I'm just running through this. He comes up to you, and he keeps talking about your breasts are out or your titties are out, one of the two. And at some point, comes up, grabs one side, lifts up, squeezes. He comes again, squeezes again after he's kind of hitting up about working with him. Then he comes up again. I know there's back and forth with bathroom. Squeeze a third time.
55 minutes. 55 minutes. What do you think transpired during that 55 minutes, in your opinion?
Well, I really think, I mean, I guess I always just assumed she went out to talk to her cousin and didn't come back for that long. I'm not sure. I mean, I never really thought anything nefarious happened here.
They let her go out for a 55-minute smoke break.
Well, I mean, they couldn't, she wasn't in custody, so she could really do whatever she wanted. I
Sure.
mean, she could have gone to get another pack of cigarettes or something. I mean, she's acting like she needs a cigarette to me.
Because she said she was going out to have one.
Well, she said her cousin might need a cigarette, but I think I think she might need a cigarette.
Right.
I don't have an issue with it at all.
Wow.
But then this time, he is having your hand come up. You touch, takes off the gun belt, take off your hand, and then he's talking about just do it, just do it, just do it. And all clear through there, he's talking about the charges. And he takes the back of your head, about 5 or 6 up and downs, about a minute. He says, ha ha, it's about a white dick. I've got it written down.
It's the first time you ever said white dick.
Okay. And then you stop, and then he buttons up everything, puts you on the phone with your mom at one point. After that, he comes right back.
So she's alleging this all happened in a hospital room in privacy?
Yeah, he was guarding her in the hospital room, but she was hooked up to a heart monitor, and I mean, she was coming down from ingesting all that PCP. So people were coming in the room to check on her. At trial, that is confirmed. She
Okay.
said no one came in the room, but that doesn't end up being true.
So we know she was high during the PCP incident. Do we know if she was high during this interrogation? And I only asked that because we already seen one of them who clearly was under the influence.
You know, I really don't think so. I mean, she's already in trouble for that incident.
Okay.
Daniel did submit some serious charges for her.
So that creates animosity right there, you think?
Yeah, but this is the one that he friended on Facebook, and she says that he sent her sexual, trying to hook up messages, but all the messages, and that she deleted those, but she kept all the ones that weren't sexual. So
friend requesting somebody you arrested is not the smartest idea.
Well, that was so dumb. I mean, this is the accuser that, I mean, he should have been strung up for her in perception. But at the end of this interview, she clears him accidentally.
And he slips up 2 fingers up inside your vagina. And then he takes you to jail. He's standing over you when they ask you the question about, have you ever been sexually assaulted? He walks away. A couple weeks ago.
Now, did she make, so what was the time frame between incident to then?
I mean, he's arresting her. While he's arresting her, she ingests the PCP. He escorts her to the hospital. So this is all the same day. She's saying while she's high on PCP in that ER, he assaulted her.
Wow.
Goes by, Facebooks you, starts talking. Of course, you go to jail about a month later. Then you're out from bond, talking to him again. I'm sorry. Before you even go to jail, he comes over.
Right.
He whips out his penis. He tries to get you to go down on him, go drive around the corner, have sex with him. You're like, no. He briefly talks about the charges. And you don't do anything, no touching. And then the bond, jail, out, still some contact. And then Houston, then he tries to get a hold of you and let you know you got a warrant, but you're in Houston. Okay, we've got the Facebook messages, everything like that.
Right.
Anything you tell me today has been any lies, anything like that?
No.
Okay. Well, you've been pretty honest about stuff. So, you got any questions of me?
I don't know. Is that like, was the other girl situation, was they like mine?
Well, I can't necessarily go into that. Okay. Have you ever talked to anybody about their situations?
No, I don't know nobody else that he done that to or none of that.
Okay.
So this is good evidence?
Well, you tell me.
I think so, because I mean, y'all, even if he didn't like even rape nobody or nothing, he's been in contact with people that.
Boom. Even if he didn't rape nobody.
Yeah, boom.
Oh, let's play it again, shall we?
Oh, God.
I think it's important to drill it home.
Like that. Anything you tell me today has been any lies, anything like that?
No.
Okay. Well, you've been pretty honest about stuff. So, you got any questions of me?
I don't know. Is that like, was the other girl situation, was they like mine?
Well, I can't necessarily go into that. Okay. Have you ever talked to anybody about their situations?
No, I don't know nobody else that he done that to or none of that.
Okay.
So this is good evidence?
Well, you tell me.
I think so, because I mean, y'all, even if he didn't like even rape nobody or nothing, he's been in contact with people that he was arrested.
Well, was it ever a nurse?
There you go.
People are asking about, the DNA, and I do have a clip from one of the jurors after the trial.
Did you Discord me?
I did not, but we could do it for next time and talk about the DNA and.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what you have.
Well, I mean, this is an open canvas for us to paint on, you and me, and it's a little overwhelming. I'll be honest with you. You did awesome tonight. I know this is something that's new to you going on, and we've had over 40 people listening consistently all night long, which is awesome. Kudos to the chat. Thank you everyone who's been listening. It's one of those things where this story is extensive. And figuring out what chapter 1 is and where it is and how should it be presented to, let's be honest, there is a percentage out here listening to this and watching this that think he's guilty and they're glad that he's in jail. So we have to look at it and approach it in multiple different angles and ways to educate and leave no stone unturned, but stick to the facts. That is the basis here for that. And I really think this is a really good first episode. I think next episode, if you want to, we have multiple topics to touch upon. We can talk about the DNA evidence. We can talk about contact DNA that goes along with that. We can talk about what the jurors thought. We can, we can also focus on Kim and Rocky. I mean, that's a Kim and Rocky, in my opinion, is an episode in itself.
Yeah, we could talk about the list and changing stories. We could take a look at how we could go through each victim
Mhm.
and have a really hard time saying that, man. We
Yeah.
could go through each and see what their initial statement was, how it changed at prelim, and then how it changed to fit nicely at trial. That's a pretty interesting walk.
So one more quick plug to Discord. Big shout out to Daniel's Discord. Are you able to publicly kind of share how Daniel's doing? I know you met with him today, video chat. I mean, obviously don't like give out a lot, but are you able to kind of let everyone know how he's doing, how his mindset is right now?
Daniel's a really strong person. He's always had some sort of goal and worked toward that goal. He knows what he has to do on the inside, and he's just really grateful for the people who will, he doesn't want someone to just say, "Oh yeah, he's he's innocent." He wants people to look at the facts of the case and decide, because he knows that when people do that, they will come to the same decision that I came to. Of course, this isn't it's hard for him in there because he's in prison. It sucks. He's a big guy sleeping on a concrete bunk, eating prison food. And that part sucks, but he has so many supporters. And Rhonda, you should put, I don't know, there's a way to communicate with him. I guess if someone wants to do that, they can join the Discord channel and, find a way to communicate with him via card or letter. But, Daniel, he's going to make it through this because he set his mind to it. And hopefully the things that are beyond his control, hopefully none of those things happen in the meantime. But it's going to be a long road, and he knows that wrongful convictions generally take about a minimum of 14 years to overturn. We've got a lot of work to do in local in the politics of Oklahoma and with our elected officials, because, I mean, Oklahoma is as corrupt as Wisconsin. So, we've got to be doing some other things that benefit everyone who's wrongfully convicted, not just Daniel. And we've got to do those things to get this case turned around and get him out of there.
Here's the address to want to send a letter or card to Daniel Holtzclaw.
Yeah.
Please send your well wishes and words of encouragement to Justice for DH, P.O. Box 1193, Poway, California 92074. I will be honest. I think the stakes got raised a little bit when Daniel became aware of this show happening tonight. The pressure became a little bit on there because it's a great responsibility to make sure you lay the facts out, but you lay it out in a manner that episode 1, we might not be able to sway everybody. Episode 2, next Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, is just the next opportunity. And I think a big part of advocacy is changing people's minds. We're looking at the schedule now. We're live right now. September 7th, 6 p.m. will be part 2. September 14th will be part 3. September 21st will be part 4. We're kind of strategizing live on air for everyone to see, see our playbook on what direction we're going. We have so much to get to. so much to discuss more. You know, what is the last thing you want to kind of wrap up with tonight, knowing that we have another week to get into it? But what's the one thing that you really wanted to drive home tonight that you might not have had a chance to so far?
I guess really that I want people to see how this case was manufactured and how the detectives did not follow the evidence in search of the truth. Um, no one would want the kind of investigation that Daniel Holtzclaw was given, and we've got to change that for everyone. And I also just want to say thank you for the opportunity to come on here and have a conversation, and I'm really looking forward to the next 3.
Awesome, Kate. You did awesome. We had a hour-long discussion, you and I. Everyone wonders when I don't do shows, and I always say when I'm not doing a show. I did a show today. I did a new show this afternoon at like noontime. And when I don't do a show, I'm always talking about another show. And our conversation was kind of the behind-the-scenes show. We were kind of breaking down what to do and how to do it. And I think it shows the effort in advocacy and scratching that you all are doing is inspiring and it's motivating.
Yeah.
And
Well, come on Discord and scratch with us.
absolutely.
Get a lot of information over there about the case. And check out all the links in this, before next week if you have time to go through the links here. It'll bring you up to speed because this is one that's very tough to wrap your mind around.
There's the Discord link. Tell everybody El Sancho sent you, please. And we have our own Discord as well, El Sancho, which is right there to join. Variety of topics, as you know. I touch upon a lot of things, a wide variety. Our new show today, we went from everything that can be discussed, but this is a very important thing for me to lay the facts out and give the audience an opportunity to digest. And what I mean by that is, I am doing my best to try to lay everything out. The facts are there. The testimonies, the interrogation video we've already started is there. We have so much more to get to. And again, I want to thank you. Join us on Discord. We have 42 people watching. I hate to wrap up, but we can go hours and hours. Kate, I want to thank you again for hopping on, and I look forward to episode 2 of Inside Daniel Holtzclaw Case.
Thanks so much.
Oh